Capcom. Do you realize how rare it is in this day and age to have the entire gaming community, RPG community, at your feet, urging you on, egging you on to succeed? They want the best for you. They want you to release the best possible game. In this case, of course, Dragon's Dogma 2. They're ready. They've got their wallets open. We all did. We were ready to buy this and to support this game in hopes that it would be the next best thing in the role-playing game genre. We're in the post-Baldur's Gate 3 world. Many of us thought this could be it. This could be another great game, maybe the best one of 2024. Even though we're a few months in, many people were expecting big things from this title. And what did Capcom do? They totally dropped the ball in every possible way. They are incompetent. They are out of touch, greedy. They were onto a great thing. It may be that the content in the game, overall, it's very good, but by making a dog shit first impression, screwing over their players, showing that they do not really care about this genre, they showed their true colors. And there is a good reason that the game is mixed on Steam. I didn't expect this. And I'm not even annoyed necessarily with the overall game itself. It might be quite good. You play it through start to finish, and we will talk about the optimization, the PC issues, because that's the big problem. You probably can't even get through the game. That's simply not possible. But the content may be good, but by just ruining what could have been positive word of mouth, by saying F you to your players, trying to scrounge extra money, even though this is $70+ to buy, depending on where you live, $110 in my country, they squandered every bit of goodwill that they ever could have had. And again, that's why I'm pissed off, because it could have been great, but because they've botched the launch, this game will never be a success. It's never going to be a Baldur's Gate 3 at Elden Ring, because players don't forget. Even if they fix this, let's say, and we will talk about each of the issues in depth, but if they got rid of the microtransactions, if they fix the PC issues, it's gonna be too late. People will have moved on, or they will be set in their ways to wait for a sale. Now for me, I try not to pre-order, I try to practice what I preach, but I do also like to support games on release. And if it's a good game, I will pay full price. Is it a good financial decision? No, but this is a hobby for me. I'm not paying my electricity bill. I'm happy to spend a bit extra for something I enjoy and I want to see more of. So what I did is pretty much on release day, a few hours before launch, I bought the game. Then, as soon as I found out about all of these PC issues, it's borderline unplayable on PC, even if you have a great rig, you've got great specs on your computer. As soon as I saw that, I thought, here we go again. This happened with Jedi Survivor, the Star Wars game. It never got fixed, by the way. Jedi Survivor is still broken. So never think that they'll definitely fix it, and if you buy it, you can just play the patient game. They may never fix it. So that's not a smart decision either. So you can't rely on them to do a good job over time. There's no promise that they can make there. So what I did is I saw the microtransactions as well, and I thought, this is too much. I am refunding it, and I'm going to maybe buy something else, and I will come back to Dragon's Dogma 2 in maybe 6 months, maybe a year, whenever. When they fix the game, maybe they patch out the microtransactions. They probably won't do that because they are in other Capcom games, but at the very least, they have to fix the performance, because I've had enough with that. When it's borderline unplayable, even though you've got a great computer, that just kills it for me. Now again, this might not seem like the biggest deal in the world. A game releases, it has microtransactions even though it's single player. They are not as egregious as other games, that's got to be noted. They're not the worst thing ever, but they're still in there, which isn't a good thing. In a post-Baldur's Gate 3 world, people are not going to tolerate microtransactions in their role-playing games. This kind of proves it. You've then got the PC optimization issues, which is a big thing for me. I do primarily play on PC. Maybe some of you are enjoying it on PS5. I don't know how it performs there, but whatever. I'm not changing platforms. They should have it working on Steam. It's huge for Capcom. They've mentioned it's their biggest platform now, so it's despicable that they have treated their players like this. And then to top that off, there's other issues, like you can only have one save file. And apparently, if you try and delete your save file, you're at risk of de novo, the DRM, corrupting your game or stopping you from getting in. I don't know all the facts on that, but there are some issues there. And de novo is another one, because it's one thing to put de novo in the game, which affects performance when it's Resident Evil. But Resident Evil ran quite well on PC, so people let it slide. When you've got Dragon's Dogma 2, which has putrid performance, suddenly de novo is front and center as an issue for people, because it's like you are hamstringing a game that performs terribly, and you could remove it and improve the experience for players, but you're not going to do it because you're worried, oh, someone might pirate the game and then they can bypass the microtransactions. It is pathetic. So, again, the main issue I had, the reason I'm annoyed is because this could have been great, and Capcom squandered it by being greedy, by being lazy. So it's not the game itself. I'm not trying to say the game is terrible, it's the worst thing ever, it's another Starfield. It's probably an alright game under all this, but by squandering the launch, it never will get the recognition that it could deserve if they had have done a better job. So I think that's just a really bad thing, because I want to see role-playing games succeed. The more commercial successes, great reviews and all of that, the more great RPGs that we're going to get that might have that old-school RPG influence, like the Baldur's Gate 3s, even the Elden Rings, and so on. So it is just a massive shame. The individual issues themselves, they're nothing new, but the thing that really disappoints me more than anything else is the defenders of this. Now, if you are someone who bought the game, you're enjoying it, the issues I've mentioned, they're not really a big deal to you, you can ignore the microtransactions, you're not playing on PC, or you've got an incredible rig and maybe you're not having the problems, whatever, you're just playing and having fun, totally fine, continue to have fun. But my problem is people who bought it, and then they can't take criticism. They hear people online talking bad about it, bringing up genuine concerns that are valid, and they'll attack those people and make up reasons for why they're upset and try to undermine them, suggest their opinion is not valid. And there are a number of these people, and going through this, seeing what people are saying, will address some of the main points that I'm sure most of you by now are aware of, those issues that Dragon's Dogma 2 has that I mentioned. And here's the first post by someone, here of course on the Dragon's Dogma 2 Reddit. And someone says, "Here we go again. Just don't fucking buy it. It's not that hard to understand. Single player. It's a you thing. Who fucking cares what whale buys thousands of dollars of farmable stuff?" I've been seeing this argument for 10 plus years now, and this is the point that this person and many others have made time and time again. If there are microtransactions in a game, all you have to do is supposedly ignore them, and then it's not a problem. This is bullshit, it's disingenuous, and it suggests that you can't really look at anything in any sort of depth. If a game has microtransactions in there, it means that the devs, the publisher, whatever, they see that as a revenue stream for the game. So if you have a transaction, say fast travel, which Dragon's Dogma 2 does have, where you can spend real money and you're able to fast travel, what is that going to mean for the devs? Well, there is now a profit incentive to make sure that traveling in the game is tedious, monotonous, and directs you to kind of go to the store and go, you know what, I don't want to have to keep traveling to get to the fun stuff. I'm going to spend real money on that fast travel. Now, was Dragon's Dogma 2 designed like that, or did they just add in the microtransactions later and the game has actually been designed with good intent? Maybe, but I don't know that. And until I know that for sure and I understand everything, I am not spending full price on the game and supporting it. Because I absolutely have played games where they are designed with bad intentions, in bad faith, where something like travel is totally tedious, so it incentivizes me to spend money. As soon as you're doing that, it doesn't feel like a piece of entertainment anymore. It feels like the devs are working against me to get me to spend cash. So the short of it is, you cannot ignore microtransactions, because in many cases, if they exist, the game is designed around them. And then suddenly it's not about fun. It's about design decisions purely to get more cash coming in, drive people to go to the store. You can argue it's not the case for Dragon's Dogma 2, but you probably can't prove it's not the case. So you can get fucked with that one. He continues, are you going to actively cancel 7-Eleven for offering Cheetos on sale when you only wanted a Diet Coke? nobody's forcing you to grab that bag of Cheetos. So this is one of the dumbest things I've ever read. It is a total false equivalency. A better example would be, you walk into 7-Eleven, and suddenly you go, what's going on here? This store is suddenly humongous. There's 5 miles worth of store space, and the drink fridges with the Diet Coke, it's 5 miles away in that direction. And then the guy at the counter says, actually, we've got Diet Cokes here for $3, and you can grab one off me, pay $3 and be on your way. However, if you travel the 5 miles all the way to the drink fridge, it's going to be a long walk, then you can bring it back to me and pay the usual $2 for it. But if you want it here, if you want the convenience, you're going to have to pay extra. That's where the issue is, paying for convenience, but the developers create the issue in the first place. It's not really convenience because they've created the problem, they're offering the solution, and you've got to pay extra money despite that never being an issue in the past. Now again, I don't know if Dragon's Dogma 2 has designed everything with bad intent or if the microtransactions came later, but I don't know either way, so I'm not going to support it. He concludes here, if it exists, there's a market for it. If it's actual garbage, they'll stop offering it. Basics of the human experience. What does that even mean? Jesus Christ, entitled gamers these days. Yeah, totally entitled when we're paying $70+ for the game, we're supporting it, and we expect to get what we have gotten in other games, like Baldur's Gate 3, Elden Ring, which were incredible full experiences, and they didn't have microtransactions. There is a reference point, it's a realistic one, and you're saying, oh, you're entitled for wanting that again. Who do you work for? Now, this one I have to address because I see this all the time, where someone says, did you spurg out like this for Resident Evil 4 or Monster Hunter with the NPC meme attached? Now, what he's talking about is that in those games, they are both made by Capcom, and they also have microtransactions like Dragon's Dogma 2. So the argument being thrown around is, why are people raging about microtransactions in Dogma, but they weren't doing it for these other Capcom games? Well, there's a few reasons for it. The first thing is people are not comparing Dragon's Dogma 2 with past Capcom games. They're comparing it with other Western RPGs. Again, the ones I just mentioned, Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate 3, there are others too. So those games didn't have microtransactions. They did more than just fine. Very successful products. They're getting DLC or they're getting sequels. We heard Larian recently say they're moving on to their next game. And they've got a lot of money to spend because the great word of mouth that they earned by releasing a genuine full product that was fantastic has ensured they've got a lot of money now. Players supported them and they can make any game that they want to. It doesn't have to be a sequel. They're probably going to make a new IP. So they're doing very well. If those games didn't need microtransactions to be a success, neither does Dragon's Dogma 2. There is no reason for them to have them outside of Capcom's greed. And Capcom really made a massive mistake because, again, the microtransactions, I don't think that they are egregious. I waited a little bit before sort of having a reaction to the game because I didn't want to absolutely panic and destroy it without thinking about it a little bit. And from what I've seen objectively, the microtransactions probably don't ruin the game like they do other ones. You can earn everything in-game, but not in a way where you've got to spend hours and hours farming. It's not ridiculous. The microtransactions may well be quite pointless. The problem is the good faith that you lost by putting any of them in the game is destroying all of your goodwill. It's all gone. No one likes you anymore. You're going to have to earn that trust back. And you're probably not even going to make that much money from the microtransactions to begin with. I've heard people say, oh, they're for the whales. But none of the microtransactions make sense for whales. They're like little things. I mentioned the fast travel, but I don't think it's a huge deal that anyone's going to be sort of buying lots and lots of that. Maybe a handful of people. But it's not like cosmetics or a bunch of stuff that whales can just keep spending and spending money on. I don't think Capcom are going to gain from the microtransactions what they've lost by destroying this launch and killing everyone's enthusiasm. Now, the other point is, let's talk about people, and I'm kind of one of them. I bought Resident Evil 4 and had a good time with it, and it did have microtransactions. So someone like this will say I'm being a hypocrite, and you can argue that I am in this instance, but I'll explain my reasoning. So the Resident Evil series, survival horror, Capcom Capcom is a leader in this space. There are very few other companies making AAA survival horror. You had maybe the Dead Space remake from EA. That was really a graphic remake. It didn't really change that much gameplay-wise compared to the original. You've got a couple of others. Alan Wake 2, I mean, it's not even on Steam. I'm not changing platforms just to play that. They can get lost. So it really is just Resident Evil outside of indie titles. Now, do I like the microtransactions? Absolutely not. I've never spent a cent on them. And if there was a competitor that was just as good as Resident Evil and it didn't have microtransactions, maybe I would look to support that instead of Capcom. But because it's really the only option, I've been okay with it. Now, the other thing is, I don't think there's that many people who have said, the reason I'm not buying Dragon's Dogma 2, it's only the microtransactions. For most people, it seems to be a mix of things. It is the fact that other games in the genre don't have them, so they're a reference point. They were all fine without microtransactions, so they're not needed. This is clearly greedy. The PC optimization issues, and then other things like only having one save file, and if you try and muck around with that, something bad can happen because of de novo. So it is a mix of things, but these idiots, they try and just cling to one little point, because these are people who bought Dragon's Dogma 2. They can't just simply enjoy it without getting salty, getting upset that there are people criticizing it. So they try and imply you're a hypocrite, you're a moron for not going out and spending money on this entertainment product. Well, the other thing is, you don't really need to have specific principles when it comes to buying something like this. It's an entertainment product, it's a game. It's fine to just have a vibe check on it and go, nope, I don't feel like spending money on this. It doesn't have to be massively deep. That's how I kind of feel. I don't feel like supporting this because of what Capcom's doing. I felt okay supporting Resident Evil 4 for a number of reasons that I've mentioned. Do I think Capcom's an incredible company? No, they're greedy. They've made a number of dog shit decisions. Like, I think they were adding DRM to, like, 15-year-old games like Resident Evil 5 recently. That's really sad, it's pathetic, it's just going to make you look bad. So I don't care that much about Capcom. I'll buy their games if I think they're good. If there's problems, I'll wait for a sale. So this logic doesn't really hold. I don't think anyone cares. And this last one, now this is a meme posted again to the Dragon's Dogma subreddit, and it's titled No Fun Allowed, and it's the old meme of people sitting around the TV, playing the game, having fun, and then someone on the sidelines is trying to ruin it by saying things like, you know, the game has microtransactions for stuff that is available for free in-game, and the performance isn't perfect, even though it is day one. Quit having fun. Now, this could have just been a harmless meme, but this second part to me is incredibly worrying, where the person says, the performance isn't perfect, even though it is day one. How far are we going to move the goalposts eventually? Because they are implying that as gamers, you are entitled for expecting a game to be in a working state on the first day. It's only day one, guys. Come on, wait at least 3 months, 6 months until you expect it to actually be working and you can play through and you don't get stutters. You can actually get through the game without problems. I've heard from some people that even if the game works for you in the first hour and you think, yeah, this looks pretty smooth, what are people talking about? Apparently it gets worse as the game goes on. This used to happen with Bethesda games as well. It probably still does, where the longer you play in the game, the performance absolutely tanks because you've picked up more items, you've done more things in the world, and so performance gets to a really, really bad place, more crashes. And it seems like Dragon's Dogma 2 is along the same lines. So just seeing this, I mean, we've had it with microtransactions where originally people were against them full stop, and then the companies, they just got more and more sneaky, and eventually people said, oh, well, it's okay as long as they're not pay to win. I can deal with cosmetic microtransactions, just don't make them pay to win, and I'll be okay. So we see those goalpost moves, and to think that people are now saying that we shouldn't expect to pay full price for a game and have a working product, to suggest that you're entitled in any way for that, that is the most pathetic thing I've seen on this. You can justify the microtransactions, but to try and justify the performance on PC, I cannot let that slide. Again, the game itself, it might be good. Under these issues, under the controversy of the launch, there might be a good game underneath, but I really do think that Capcom have blown it. And that is what I'm most upset about. This could have been a fantastic game that we all could have come together, played, enjoyed, talked about the future of RPGs and what other great stuff might be coming. I can't see that happening now. Baldur's Gate 3's huge success was the word of mouth and just universal positive praise. It brought lots of people in who may not necessarily have been used to playing RPGs. It might have been new for them. They might have been looking to play something like this that maybe has some similarities, even though it is quite a bit different, but still a role-playing game. If they had got this right, people would have come together and played it. It could have been really successful. Even after some of this discussion dies down, I don't think it's going to be any sort of juggernaut. And who knows what Capcom will think. I doubt they'll be self-aware and realize that they fucked up themselves. They'll probably blame the genre, the players, and maybe we won't get a Dragon's Dogma 3 or another RPG from Capcom that does great stuff. So I think it's just a shame. This is them shooting themselves in the foot. That's really all it is. I don't want to hear that it's gamer rage, people being unreasonable. No, Capcom, they brought this on themselves. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.